Hello everyone, this is Satyaprakash. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I will show you what are the steps to validate the text box using JavaScript in .NET, and that will be very helpful in your real-time implementation, and that validation will not fail at any point of time. So there are few steps guys. Before that, I'll show you that this is my YouTube channel. Here you'll get some related videos related to Angular and uh, GitHub. So these are all relevant videos, and how to write the code for implementation of advanced JavaScript code. So you'll get in this my videos in the video sections. So guys, so in this video, what are the points is what is client-side validation in JavaScript, benefits of client-side validation, and difference between client-side validation and server-side validation. So guys, without any delay, I'll show you the steps how to create a JavaScript file and how to implement in your application. So guys, this is my ASP.NET project, and here I have added one JavaScript file that is called validation.js. So if you open it, right, and here this is the code for validation.js, which will validate our text box controls in two scenarios: if the text box is empty, or the text box is empty and there is some space and user is going to click on the button. So in these two scenarios, this validation will be showing to the end user that is what it should be. So guys, I'll describe this code. So here there is one function I have created called required, and there is two parameters, control ID and control name. Okay, so this control name is nothing but the text box name, and this is the control ID, nothing but the text box ID. So in if part, it will take text box ID and check for empty. If it is true, it will show and warning message based on name provided in place of control name. Okay, and for example, if the text box I have created one that is name, if the name is empty, then what it will show is enter the name, it should not be empty. Okay, that's the implementation part. So guys, there is one more condition is, again it will check for if it is in use, put any space, and if text box is empty, then this part will be verified. Okay, so you see it here in the else statement, this has the space count 0, and there is one for loop that is the count, and the count is less than the length of this space. Okay, the string dot length whatever is put it, and the count will be increment to count 1. Okay, and here it will be assigned to the variable ch, and the ch, if it is empty, it will space count to be 1, and there is one if condition, if the space count equal to string dot length, that means there is space as well as there is some empty, then the alert will be shown as please enter, it should not be empty and space. So guys, after then what we'll do is text control will be to empty, and it will be focus method will be activated on it and return false. So there is two variables, one is text control string and space count. So guys, here what are the control ID I passed here, this control ID will be assigned to text control, and this value will be assigned to the string, and the space count will be assigned as only this one, and after then it will be returned true. So this is all about the code of JavaScript validation to validate the text box in two scenarios. So how to implement in your code? So here I have created one ASPX file. Okay, so this is the fastpage.aspx. so this is the code. Okay, and here I'll describe this code is. So guys, you just notice one thing is this path I have mentioned what are the validation.js I have created, and there is one more scripting I have mentioned here. This has the if you just look at this method, okay, that is the function validation. So in button save, I apply this JavaScript function which is validation, and using on client click properties to validate text box in the client side. So as I have mentioned, three text boxes: text name, text gender, and text salary. So there is for required, there is some values, text box ID. Okay, if you just put over your mouse, yeah, so here you can see this is the text box control ID, and this is the name as a string, for same as for gender, same as for salary. And there is some, I have used one bootstrap CDN URL to make responsive. So here you just notice important things is I have three text boxes. Okay, so in this three text boxes I have implemented for JavaScript validation if it is empty or it has the space. So one more line is for ASP.NET button click event. So there is, you should remember that on click is button save underscore click for post back, and on client click is for calling the JavaScript function. So if you just notice that thing, this method is defined in here, right? And this method is called inside the button click event using on client click JavaScript return validation. So this is about the code for implementing the JavaScript validation in our ASP.NET project. Okay, and text box, and this is the control for ASP.NET button control, which will call this JavaScript function. And you just notice that three text boxes, the ID should be same as here. For text name, for gender, text gender, for salary, text salary. It should be same, otherwise it will not validate. So when the user will click on this button validate, it will validate this text boxes through this function. Okay, if it is empty and if it is some space there. So after then there is some footer section I have added, and same way for ASPXCS, there is nothing code, only the button click event it is fired. There is no code because it is client side. All these operations has been defined in the ASPX page only. Okay guys, so after then what I'll do is I need to show this output. So need to click here. So guys, you can see this output. Okay, and here is the output. This is the three text boxes: enter name, enter gender, and enter salary, and this is the validate button. So here I will validate three text boxes if the text box is empty and button is clicked. So here the enter name will check. So without any input I will just click on validate. So I'm getting that enter name should not be empty. Okay, so if I'll put some name is Satya, and then if you click validate, it will show that enter gender should not be empty. So it will focus this text box. I'll put here male, and if you again click on validate, the enter salary should not be empty. So I'll put some salary here. Okay, and we'll check for next validation if it is there in any spaces there. So guys, here if you'll I'll just put some space. Okay, and click on validate button. So it's showing please enter name should not be empty and space. There is other alert button, alert message, right? So if you'll put here name and again enter gender for space and click validate, it's showing please enter gender should not be empty and space. So I put male, and for enter salary I put some space and empty. If you click on validate, it's showing please enter salary should not be empty and space. So as we'll put here some data here. So guys, in this way we can validate the text boxes, and here I validate three text boxes if the text box is empty. And there is one more condition is if text box is empty and space is kept in the text box by using the space bar and click the button, it will display this message that should not be empty space. Okay, and if you click if there is some validate things and click on validate, so there is no alert message because we have validate records. Okay guys, so in this way we can create the JavaScript for validate our user inputs using text box. And in .NET the same way you can implement in your other application like PHP, Java, and other applications as well. So guys, here I'll go to my presentation. So what is client-side validation in JavaScript? It is the validation which is processed by the browser before the form submitted to the server when there is no requirement of server to process the data we use in client-side validation. So we don't need to server process the data, so it can be directly performed by browser, thus client-side control for faster processing. It does not require postback. Validation means data should be in current state. It should be in correct state. So benefits of client-side validation. Client-side validation provides a better user experience as it reduces the unnecessary work between the client and server. Thus the client-side validation is nicer to work with. If JavaScript is not enabled, or if the user is making the request using tools like Fiddler, we still want to validate the form part before saving the data. Thus server-side validation should always not be respective of whether we have client-side validation or not. So difference between client-side and server-side validation. Client-side validation are performed by client-side programming language such as JavaScript, jQuery, etc. JavaScript is a client-side scripting language. The extension is .js. Server-side validation are performed by the server-side scripting language such as ASP.NET using C#.NET and VB.NET. Same way for you can implement .mbc using C#, CSHTML, or for VB.NET is VBHTML. Okay, and server-side validation are generally used when there is a requirement to process through the server. After validation process on server side, the result is sent back to the client to the browser. Server-side validation is time consuming than client-side validation because client-side is directly performed by the browser, where the server side are performed by the server side. So guys, that's it for today. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.